Live from Brother Jimmy's on Easton Avenue in New Brunswick, this is the Kyle Flood Show. Your chance to talk Rutgers football with the head coach of the Scarlet Knights.
Rutgers with 9 on the line. They're coming and blocked. They got it. He couldn't go. Sideline 20, 10. Adios, compadres.
To be a part of the show, call toll-free 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-FLOOD-44. Now we go inside Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. Alongside Coach Kyle Flood, here's Chris Carlin.
Welcome, everybody, to Brother Jimmy's downtown New Brunswick. This week's edition of the Kyle Flood Show. Chris Carlin, joined by Eric LeGrand. Good to see you, Big E.
Good to see you too, Chris.
And, of course, the coach, Kyle Flood, joins us once again. Good to see you as always.
Always great to be back in Brother Jimmy's.
Nothing wrong with that. I just got a little dinner in and we're ready to go. You can never disappoint with Brother Jimmy's food. It's outstanding. There's no doubt. Well, Rutgers coming in off the loss the other day. They fall to 4-3 on the season and 1-2 in conference play in the American Athletic Conference, and they're getting set for a noon matchup this Saturday with the Temple Owls, who will come in at 1-7 and 0-4 under their new head coach, Matt Rule. We'll get into the Owls and the matchup in just a little bit. Let's reflect for a moment, because we got to, about this past Saturday. Coach, when you take a look back, this game tied at 14 apiece with Houston, and then turnovers really did you in, and Houston at the same time able to run the football and throw the football effectively. What jumped out when you went back and watched the tape?
It's just, I think everybody knows, even if you're just a casual fan, if you turn the ball over 6 times, it's really hard to be successful. And that just gets magnified when you're playing against a good Houston team that was coming in the number 1 team in the country in turnover margin. So we knew that was going to be critical, and we just didn't do a good enough job executing what we needed to do.
Was it hard forcing turnovers versus this Houston team? I know you try to pressure the quarterback a little bit, but was it hard to get to him and then make him try to throw interceptions to the defensive back? What type of things happened in that game which didn't allow you to get as many turnovers as you wanted?
We got to him 4 times, and we sacked him 4 times, which I thought was good. I thought we got after him pretty good early in the game. I think their style of play limits the amount of gang tackles you're going to have, because there's so many plays by the sideline where they're going out of bounds, or they're stepping down the side. It's 1 hit, maybe 2, where it's usually the second, the third, the 4th defender to the party that is causing and recovering those turnovers.
First play from scrimmage of the game, you lose Lorenzo Waters. How much of that played an impact in the secondary, and the fact that you have to play as many younger players as you do right now back there?
It becomes one more thing as a team we got to overcome. But as I said in the postgame, there's no excuses that get lumped in with that injury. Lorenzo's an excellent football player. He's played at a high level for us. But the next player on the team that goes in now is the starter, and we're counting on him to do all the things to execute our defense just like Lorenzo does. And certainly I know that Lorenzo's an excellent football player, but we're not going to make any excuses or hide behind that, whether it's an injury to Lorenzo or to Lou Toller or whatever the other situation may be. We've got some young guys in the back end, but every week they get more and more experience, and every week we expect them to perform better.
Exactly. With all the time now that these young players are getting out there, what do you expect from them, seeing them now coming forward now that they're getting these game experiences?
I think they'll improve, and they're exciting and they're fun to coach. And this week, as I think most people know by now, we've got Ruhan over there working a little bit, and Ruhan is somebody that is going to give us a chance to add some depth to that secondary, and he's a talented athlete, a physical football player, and I think the kind of guy that can help us be 1-0 this week.
Okay, we'll go to the offensive side, and the turnovers you mentioned, and Gary struggled again, had 3 interceptions in the game. Can you pinpoint 1 or 2 things in particular the last couple of games that Gary has struggled with that you're trying to get addressed?
I think anytime there is a turnover, an interception specifically, it really comes down to 2 things: decision making and accuracy. And those decisions are made at very high speeds. And the accuracy we're talking about could be 3 inches one way or the other. And those are things that we have to do better. And Gary understands that, and Chase understands that. And both those guys are working this week to make sure that when we throw the ball this week, that we do it with a better decision-making process and we do it with more accuracy.
Did you see any miscommunications between the wide receivers at all, with Karan Pratt not turning around or Gary delivering the ball too fast? At one point, it looked like the ball was going to Brandon Coleman. Was there a little bit of miscommunications at all?
I think the timing is off. I don't know if it's a miscommunication or it's the receiver maybe seeing the secondary differently than the quarterback sees the secondary. I don't know if it's a miscommunication between the two of them, but it could be just a different interpretation of what's going on defense.
Get your questions in for the coach. We're going to take them live here at Brother Jimmy's. If you're in attendance, come on up front to our friend Jimmy, and he will get you set up to come on the microphone. You can also give us a telephone call at 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344, or tweet your questions to @RFootball on Twitter. So you have Chase and Gary both getting reps with the ones this week. How have you seen this play out, and have you made up your mind as far as what direction you're going to go Saturday yet?
We have not made up our mind yet. We'll make up our mind after we watch tomorrow's practice tape. So we'll get a chance to go out there on Thursday, and we work out for about 90 minutes on Thursdays, and then we'll review the tape as a staff, and then we will go forward from there with our plan. And that plan could be Gary or Chase. That plan could involve both of them. At this point in the week, I think we're certainly not ready to make a decision just yet.
Yeah, how important is that Thursday practice now for the quarterbacks, for Gary Nova or Chase, to impress you now with the game plan and pretty much the whole script, going through the script? How important is it now for them to, I guess, put their last edges on their performance and see what you're going to go with?
I think it's critical, and I think that Gary and Chase both know that the game plan goes in on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then on Thursday there's a couple of situational things that go in, but essentially it becomes a review of Tuesday and Wednesday also, and now the mistakes and the things that maybe didn't get read perfectly on Tuesday and Wednesday, which you would expect the first day in the game plan, we want to see those corrected on Thursday so we can make our decision.
Gary's a confident young man. Now, when you see him go through a couple of games like this, how have you seen him handle it? How has he handled it from the standpoint of not being in this situation this year?
I think he's handled it as well as you can handle it, and he's not happy about his performance. He knows it needs to be better. But he has come back and he's worked even harder, and I think that is a testament to him. And I would say the same thing about Chase as well, and Mike Bamonte. I don't think you can survive as a quarterback at this level with the volume of responsibility that position entails, and how many people are counting on you every play without a tremendous amount of resolve. And I think there's a lot of resolve in that quarterback room, and I think when they get out there this week, I think we'll see an improved level of play.
Now, how important is it now for the leadership of the team to continue to be behind everyone's back and trust the coach's decision on what's going to go forward with? How important now is the leadership of the team to get everyone involved and all these young guys keep on going instead of people going off and having their separate questions here, going there with other things?
I think what you said is exactly right. The leadership of your team and the resolve of your team is tested much more in defeat than it is in victory. It's very easy for everyone to enjoy the victories, and it's not as easy, or it's a much bigger challenge when things aren't going your way. And we're very fortunate. We've got a team with tremendous resolve. We've got an excellent senior class. We've got at our table over here to my right all the players who have 1 year of eligibility remaining this year. And it's great to have them here with us and having dinner with us at Brother Jimmy's. Some of them have been here in the past, some of them have not. But that's really where it begins. And it always begins with your seniors, and they always set the tone for what your upcoming week is going to be.
When you have a guy like Chase as your backup quarterback who has so much experience, 16 career starts, 26 games in his career, as a coach, how much does that just, I guess, make you feel a little bit more at ease when you have to call upon him?
It's a luxury, and we're very fortunate to have somebody with so much experience, a guy who's been in the fire, has won games for us, and we're very fortunate to have him. And when I think people saw that when Chase went in there, he performed well last week, and that's the reason why we're having the discussions we are this week.
Knowing how much playing time these two quarterbacks have played, does that help the chemistry between the receivers and not actually have them confused and having to get ready for somebody else out there? These two, they've caught balls from both of these quarterbacks. Does that make it that much easier for the wide receivers now?
I think it does. I don't know if anything's ever easy. I think those are
right,
so I shy away from that word. But I do think there's more familiarity, and I think nowadays the off-season programs are so much more organized than they used to be maybe 15, 20 years ago, that the receiver group catches so many balls throughout the course of the year from both quarterbacks, and not just Gary and Chase, but other quarterbacks as well. So it is definitely an advantage. There's no doubt about that.
With the receiver position, you got some new guys involved, some considerable playing time. For Carlton Agudosi, Andre Patton started the game. John Simis had a couple of catches as well. I know Karan and Leonte, were they a little bit banged up, and that kind of led to getting some more playing time for the other guys?
Yeah, they were a little bit limited in practice during the week, and that's not unusual this time of year. And that, so it's not, to me, this is the natural progression of what happens in a season. We've recruited some talented guys, Andre Patton and John Simmons as freshmen, Carlton Agudosi now, who's a redshirt freshman who did not play last year. And these guys have done a good job all year. There's when healthy, you generally play between 4 and 6 receivers in a game. But at this point in the year, I don't know who's healthy in the country. So we want to utilize the depth at that position. And ultimately, that depth has allowed us to take Ruhan and now try him on the other side of the ball because we don't have as much depth over there.
As you said, as the depth of wide receivers, what have you seen from like a Carlton Agudosi and also Janorian Granton even get some time out there last game? So what do you see from that in the future?
Yeah, Janarian's done certainly a great job for us on special teams, and he's a guy in the slot that can be very, very difficult to cover. And young players are fun to watch practice because they're almost getting better daily, and that's a testament to how hungry those players have stayed throughout the first half of the year, where they really weren't getting a lot of playing time. And a guy like Janarian's playing on special teams, playing receiver during the week, but he's really not getting an opportunity on game day. But they never got discouraged. There was never any discouragement in that group. I kept telling you, it's a long season. Your time is going to come, and sure enough, here it is.
Now, we got our first Twitter question of the night. It comes from Andrew Faraday. Coach, how much can you expect Ruhan Peel to contribute at corner this week, considering he hasn't played there since he's been here? Now, if I'm not mistaken, he played some safety in high school and maybe a little bit of corner. Is that right?
When I spoke to Ruhan and we talked about possibly making the switch, he told me that he had played some safety in high school. And in the course of all these 7-on-7s, at some point or another, you're out there playing corner as well. So he had minimal experience would probably be the best way to describe it. But, Ruhan, one of the advantages Ruhan has had is that he's not a true freshman. Mm-hmm. He's a redshirt freshman. So he's been in the meetings now for over a year. And when you're in an offensive meeting, we're certainly coaching you on what the defense is doing. So there's a certain degree of familiarity that goes along with it. Now, if we didn't think he could do some of the things physically just based on his natural ability, we would never have made the change. So certainly he's going to have to rely on some natural ability when he gets out there.
I was actually going to ask you, Coach, how do you go about picking one of the receivers when you are limited on the DB position? How do you go about picking one of them that can go over there and play that defensive back position?
Without getting into the specifics of everybody who was discussed, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I think you got to look at a lot of things. You got to look at the ability to move in space, the ability to change directions. And as a defensive player, you certainly need a very physical presence out there because at some point you're going to have to make a tackle. And, Ruhan really has all those things. And it doesn't surprise me that he's improved as we've gone through the week.
855-FLOOD-44, our telephone number, 855-356-6344. One more on last week, and it's a positive. Justin Goodwin, 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. That following up what he did at SMU a couple of weeks ago. When you look at the production that you've gotten at the running back spot, not just from Goodwin, Paul James, Savon, when he's had some chances, has gotten some tough yards. Could you have expected it to be this good the way it has been?
I thought we would be better, and I said that at the beginning of the year. I think the improvements the 2 previous years have been improvements, but not at the pace or the level that anybody wanted. But I knew we were moving in the right direction, and now the third year of some of these guys playing, guys like Batim Bajari, guys like Caleb Johnson, a guy like Michael Burton getting back and healthy for us. It is. I was surprised is not the word I would use, but I'm pleased. I'm pleased at the progress, and now I want to see it on a week in, week out basis. I don't want to see the lull that we had a couple weeks ago.
And I got to give credit where credit's due. Being a former offensive line coach, how fun is it to see Caleb Johnson or Keith Lumpkin pulling out into the boundary, making huge blocks down the field, getting 14, 15 yards up the field, and pancaking the D-backs? How nice is that to see as a former offensive line coach?
It's a lot nicer when you're 1-0. I can tell you that. But if you're going to be in reflection mode, it is what it does for me is I get the flashbacks to being at Ed White High School down in Jacksonville, Florida, when we recruited Caleb Johnson, to being at St. Peter's in Jersey City when we were recruiting Keith Lumpkin, and being at Secaucus High School up in Hudson County. Charlie Voorhees, one of the best coaches in the state, when we were recruiting Batim Bujari. And so I remember all I'm the guy who's been here through the recruiting stories. So that has been fun to watch these guys progress through their careers, and I think they got a lot more football in them still.
Well, we're going to take our first time out of the night. We encourage you, if you're in attendance here at Brother Jimmy's, come on up, ask the coach a question, tweet us your questions at @OurFootball, and give us a call at 855-FLOOD-44, 855-356-6344. Rutgers facing Temple this week. Noon game out there early on Saturday. We hope to see you there, and we're going to get into the matchup with the Owls coming up in just a few moments. Right now, though, our first time out. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
You may already know that AT&T is the nation's fastest 4G LTE network. And now independent research has confirmed that AT&T 4G LTE is also the most reliable. Whether you're connecting with family or getting the job done, you want a wireless network you can count on. AT&T, the nation's fastest and now most reliable 4G LTE network. Rethink possible. AT&T reminds you to never text and drive. It can wait.
Speed claim based on national carriers' average 4G LTE download speeds. Reliability claim based on data transfer completion rates on nationwide 4G LTE networks. 4G LTE not available everywhere.
The chalkboard. Sweeps, screens. Every play is drawn up and studied. When you can visualize a play, you can execute a play. The same is true in business. The more visibility you have in your supply chain, the better your business performs. That's why UPS lets you track what comes in and what goes out. Logistics is our game. See how we can help yours at thenewlogistics.com. UPS, official logistics partner of the NCAA.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
What's up, Rutgers? Y'all ready for some football? Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick is your headquarters for Scarlet Knight football, as well as your home for the Jets, Giants, and all your favorite NFL teams. With over 30 HD TVs, we serve up all the NFL action on Sunday and Monday nights, with amazing food and drink specials all game long. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's and put some South in your mouth. For reservations and event information, visit us at BrotherJimmy's.com. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. See y'all soon.
University Radiology helps keep Rutgers athletes in the game. We can help you stay on top of yours. Whether your child has a sports injury, your back hurts, or you need a digital mammogram, we have the right radiology specialist to work with your doctor to make the right diagnosis. You wouldn't have your family doctor perform your heart surgery, you'd ask a specialist. University Radiology has all the right specialists to help keep you at the top of your game. For more information, visit universityradiology.com.
On Hallows Eve. Is it technically Hallows Eve, the day before Halloween? Is that what it's called?
It's Mischief Night.
Oh, it is Mischief Night. I'm going to try not to get into it too much tonight. We have got the Kyle Flood Show as Rutgers getting ready for Temple this Saturday. And the Scarlet Knights trying to improve to 1-0, I know. 5-3 overall, but 1-0 this week. Rutgers taking on a team in Temple with some younger players and a young quarterback named P.J. Walker from Elizabeth High School that we will discuss in just a bit as well. Again, we want to get you involved. Give us a call at 855-FLOOD-44, 855-356-6344. Chris Carlin, Eric LeGrand, and the coach, Kyle Flood. Now, we get into some of the individual guys here that we've talked about, or some of the guys that we have not talked about as of yet. You know, Coach, I look at your defensive line, and I see a lot of guys that have gotten an awful lot of playing time and opportunities to make some plays. When you look at guys like Dewani Mera, who has really gotten his most time this year as a starter now, what are the things that kind of jump out that have put him in this position now to make plays?
You know, Dewani has had – the first thing I would say is this. We tell all the players – you have to be ready for your opportunity. You don't know when it's going to come. And sure enough, we get into a situation in training camp. Max Asaka has a little bit of a shoulder injury, so he can't practice. Jamil Morrell has a little bit of a foot injury. He can't practice. So now Dewani Murray gets an opportunity to play against the ones that maybe, whether or not he was expecting it, he was ready for it. And he has performed very well, very consistently. I'm very proud of him because I've seen players who've allowed themselves to get discouraged, and he didn't do that. He was ready for his opportunity, and that, to me, is one of the greatest messages you can send your young team.
And as we're talking about the defensive line, let's get into the interior guys. How important has it been to keep Isaac Holmes healthy this year? As we know in the past that he has been banged up, and how important has it been to keep him healthy and out there playing and taking on those double teams each and every week?
I think it's critical, and I appreciate, Eric, you turning the conversation to the nose guard after 10 seconds.
Right.
As Ike is over here, and there's no secret that Ike has been back a few times, and that's a tribute to Eric LeGrand being a former nose guard. No, but I think Ike being healthy is critical to our defense. That nose guard position is a unique position, and we're fortunate even a guy like David Maluski now is playing a little bit at nose guard, and you know what it takes in terms of toughness. There is no measurement of toughness better than being in that nose guard position and getting double teamed literally on every play, and the guys who play there are generally some of the tougher guys on your team.
Well, to me, this is interesting because, as a fan, as a guy that hasn't played football extensively, those guys get overlooked. The guys especially on the interior because they're not necessarily going to have the numbers that jump off the page, so we don't really know the impact that they make. So, from a coaching standpoint, I guess explain to the fans the impact that those two positions, the three technique and the nose guard in particular, have.
I think it has to start on a little bit of a broader scale, in that if you're going to play great defense, you have to have unselfish players. Because at some point, someone's going to have to take on a double team. Someone's going to have to take a block. Someone is going to have to spill the fullback or box the fullback or contain the play so that somebody else has an opportunity to make the tackle. And I used to get this question all the time last year with Kasim and Steve.
Right.
And people say, well, you value Steve so much, how come how come his numbers aren't the same as Kasim's? Well, that's just the way the defense was shaped, and Kasim ended up making the plays, having the numbers. But it goes much more than that. You can't play defense with just two people. You have to play with 11. And those guys up front, they really set the tempo for everything. And if you want to know why you can play good run defense, look no further than you look at the table. You see guys, seniors like Isaac Holmes, Jamil Morrell, Marcus Thompson. There's no wonder why it's tough to run the ball.
How important has it been for Marcus Thompson out there? He's having phenomenal years out there making sacks. How well has he been able to produce this season for you guys? And does it mix you up doing different things and playing base offenses or causing pressures as much as he's been able to get to the quarterback this year?
I thought Marcus's game really went to another level last year, and I think he did it again this year. And he continues to tell me he's the best tailback on our team because he played tailback in high school. But Marcus has really done a nice job, and now his job has evolved into somewhat of a defensive end, somewhat of a linebacker at times, and he's really done a great job with both.
He's got 4.5 sacks now on the year, 5.5 tackles for loss, the 4.5 sacks leading the team. Back to the secondary for a moment, Coach. So we talked about all the younger players. You're going to be without Nadir Barnwell this week, who was suspended for a violation of team rules. How do you see this playing out in terms of how many different guys you're going to play in the secondary, whether it be T.J. Johnson, whether we see him back at corner at all, Javon Tyree, DeLon Stevenson in there with Garif Glashan and Anthony Chaffee?
Some of the depth issue we addressed with Ruhan, but I think what we're going to see ultimately is Garif Glashan starting on one side, DeLon Stevenson or Anthony Chaffee starting on the other side, and those will be the first three corners. And then you're going to see Ruhan at corner. At some point, you might see T.J. Johnson at corner, and that could happen as well. And he's got some experience there from last year, but he's also been in the rotation at safety. So if we don't have to take him out of that, we won't. But you never know how the game is going to go. We may need to play him there as well.
As we're talking about the flow of the game, do you leave them out there to try to get them kind of a rhythm, or they get 3 plays and then you have somebody else coming right away for them to give them a chance? How does that go during the flow of the game?
I think we want to get him in there early, but as the game goes on, I think the personnel groups will dictate that. The sub packages on third down, whether it's dime, whether it's nickel, whether it's 30, whatever it happens to be. I think what you're going to see is the sub packages moving in and out. You'll see people moving in and out so that everybody has an opportunity not just to play and get into the rhythm of the game, but also give Coach Cohen, Coach Wilson a chance to coach those guys through the game as well. We've got our first question of the night in person, and who else would it be but our guy.
It is Scott from the Rutgers Riot Squad. Here he is.
What's going on, my man? Scott's a former nose guard. There's no doubt.
Oh, sure. Eric, I just want to tell you, I saw you on the news. Your speech at Union Beach, very inspirational. Glad to see you honor the victims of Hurricane Sandy. So that was really nice.
Appreciate that.
Coach, my question is about the secondary. Obviously struggled a lot against Houston. You're going against a quarterback who hasn't been lighting up the scoreboard, but he's been very efficient. I believe his lowest QB rating since taking over the job is 139.9. So what's the game plan going forward?
Approximately,
yeah, something in that vicinity. So what's the game plan on Saturday going to be to keep him from getting in the end zone?
Hold on, you want me to give you the game plan so Coach Rule can hear it down at Temple?
It's a vanilla version.
Goodness gracious.
Notes.
No, I think this is what I'll tell you about Temple. I think they're very much an improving football team, and just from listening to some of the things that Coach Rule has said through the year, I know that he wasn't pleased early in the year, but an offense that I know you described as not very potent was very potent last week against SMU. They put up big numbers, and their quarterback's a freshman, and he seems to be improving every week, and they're finding their identity a little bit on offense. And probably the most challenging thing they do to you with their offense is the combination of their play action with their vertical passes deep. They are going to challenge our secondary down the field. There's no question, because that's what they've done repeatedly, game in and game out. And sometimes it looks like gun run, and then it's a deep ball. Sometimes it looks like traditional offense, and it's some type of play action naked, and then all of a sudden it's another deep ball. They are committed to throwing the ball down the field, and I think that's probably the greatest challenge they represent.
All right, thanks, guys.
Scott, as usual, great job getting out here, and triggered something that I definitely wanted to bring up, and that is this week is the anniversary of Hurricane Sandy. And last spring, really since it happened, so many of the student athletes at Rutgers have been involved in trying to help out as much as possible. Union Beach is a particular area where it really hit home for Rutgers with Will Gilkison,
Absolutely.
Your director of operations, who's from Union Beach, and of course, former terrific Scarlet Knight linebacker. So this week, you'll be wearing helmets that have bringing back the Sandy. What's the word I'm looking for? The emblem that you kind of used.
It was the
last
Jersey
spring.
Strong emblem we had on the spring.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the helmets and about the football program's involvement with Hurricane Sandy relief.
The helmet this week is our normal battle scarred silver helmet, our home helmet. And the difference really is the block R is not just there as the block R, it's the block R, and then in the background of the block R is the state of New Jersey. And I think that was important for us, and I've said this a number of times. I think certainly we want to raise money, we want to donate food and clothing and all the things we can do that can help this situation. But I think the opportunity we have as a football program, being the major college football program for the state of New Jersey, is we can keep this in the forefront of people's minds. And I think that really ultimately will lead to the type of donations that they need. And I had a chance a couple months after to finally see it firsthand, and it is a moving picture when you see it with your eyes, and to talk to some of the people in the different towns that were affected, and to hear that this process is not just about days or weeks or months. This is a 3 to 5 year process, and there is no doubt that New Jersey will be back. But they need resources to do it. The people are there determined to do it. Now we can help them get the resources by keeping it out in front.
Yeah, talking with some of the people down there yesterday, they said, of course, the media is here today for our 1 year. But some of the people, they feel like sometimes that people forget about them. And knowing that they can come to a football game, they said sometimes, and get away from all the madness that happened down there, really gets them going. And you guys have T-shirts, too, that you guys are selling this week, too, that I know they said that we're going to be supporting that, anything that they can do in order to, get their houses rebuilt, anything down there rebuilt. I was at Jacob Bob's eating last night, saw Will's number in there. It was a good time over there, Coach.
Well, Will Gilkison is a rock star down there in Union Beach. There's no doubt about it. When you go down there, I mean, if you just mention Will's name, there's a chance you could get a free cheeseburger out of it.
But like you said, it is so important because you get away from the incident when it happened and the storm when it happened, and it's easy to forget sometimes for those of us who were not directly affected by it. But it is important to remember those who do need our help and to do anything that we can to help along the way.
Absolutely, and if us changing or altering our helmets slightly for the week and inviting some of the champions of change and Really, this is a testament to Will more than anybody else in our program, because he really drove this entire effort from the very beginning. And Will and I were fortunate to go down to the White House last year and be a part of the Champions of Change program. We're going to have some of those other people that were there with us at the game this week. And again, just try to do all the little things that we can do to make sure that people don't forget that there's still people in our state that need help.
Let's take our first phone call of the night, and we're going to check in with Rich out in Pennsylvania. Rich, you're on the Kyle Flood Show.
Yes, Coach, I have a question for you. Has moving from the AAC to the Big Ten have an influence on recruiting?
Well, it's really a two-part question. We have not moved just yet. That process will happen after the season's over, and we got a lot of football left to play. And so when we're talking to the team and we're with the team, our focus is on this year, and our focus is on being 1-0. Now, as a coaching staff, we have two jobs. We have to coach the current team, but we also have to recruit. That's just part of the job description. And certainly when we're talking to recruits, we're talking about the conference that they're going to play in. But every player that's currently in our program and every player that we're currently recruiting, we've always recruited with the same premise, that these are players that are going to help us win the national championship. So from that standpoint, it really hasn't.
Good enough. We will take a timeout. Before we do, every week recently, thanks to the folks at Brother Jimmy's, we've been giving away a pretty good package of a hat, a Brother Jimmy's gift card, a T-shirt. Hat's a little different this week.
Yeah, pig's on the back this week.
Yes, pig is on the back, but it's still a good-looking hat, a very good-looking hat. Brother Jimmy's gift card, $25. Good-looking T-shirt. Also, the Brother Jimmy's cookbook. How about this? Jason Baum and the Rutgers Athletic Department stepping it up a little bit this week. 2 tickets to the game, excellent seats, and 2 pregame sideline passes. So you get to go down on the sideline before the game, check out warm-ups, and that is kind of a unique experience. So in just a little while, we're going to call out our winner. If you're in attendance here at Brother Jimmy's, you got your ticket, you're going to want to get that out toward the end of the show. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, make sure you come up front to the folks at the front of the restaurant. So we got a lot to give away to you in just a little bit.
And we got to get a couple people to buy tickets. We can't have our guy Scott win every week.
Exactly.
Oh, no, absolutely
He's getting
not.
all the T-shirts.
How many hats can he wear?
Apparently a few, but he took it in a couple of weeks ago, and then last week we had the 2 young ladies from Westfield came away as our winners.
If he gets down to the sideline, all hell could break loose.
If he gets down to the sideline, they may not be able to get him back in the stands. It's pregame only.
That's right.
Pregame only. We'll take a timeout. More phone calls coming up. More of your questions on Twitter. Tweet us at @RFootball. At Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick, this is the Kyle Flood Show.
Excuse me, is that your Diet Pepsi?
Sofia Vergara. Yeah, this is my Diet Pepsi. I love Diet Pepsi.
Do you love every sip?
Nothing is better than drinking a refreshing Diet Pepsi and just reveling in its crisp, delicious taste.
Well, you know what they say. If you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it was meant to be.
So I should set this Diet Pepsi free and wait for it to come back. Then it'll be more delicious than ever. Would you hold my Diet Pepsi for me?
I'd love to.
Thank you. What happens now?
Go, get out of here. It can't come back to you if you're standing next to it.
Thanks, Sophia. I'll wait for you, Diet Pepsi.
The only thing better than an ice-cold Diet Pepsi is a free ice-cold Diet Pepsi.
Love every sip at dietpepsi.com.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Rutgers football fans, it's time to join the 1,200-plus members of the Rutgers Touchdown Club in supporting Rutgers football 365 days a year. To become a member, please visit us at rutgerstvclub.com. Your membership includes regular meetings with Rutgers football coaches, discounts from local vendors, bus trips and giveaways, and a whole lot more. It's time for you to show your Rutgers spirit by joining the Touchdown Club today. Also, please support the team by purchasing 50-50 chances prior to each home game in the stadium parking lots. Visit us at rutgerstvclub.com for more information. Go Rutgers! Rutgers.
Have you downloaded ShopRite's mobile app? The ShopRite app has plenty of new features. Now load digital coupons right to your Price Plus Club card, anytime or anywhere. It's so easy. Simply view our weekly digital coupon offers, pick and click, and the coupon will automatically be loaded to your Price Plus Club card. You can also sign up to view our weekly circular, create a shopping list, plus view thousands of recipes, and add the ingredients to your shopping list. Visit ShopRite.com for more details. Download your free ShopRite app today.
Back at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick for this week's edition of the Kyle Flood Show. Rutgers preparing to take on the Temple University Owls. Thanks so much for joining us on the Rutgers IMG Sports Network on ScarletKnights.com and on 1450 AM WCTC New Brunswick. And we'll take more of your calls and get more of your questions in for the coach as the Scarlet Knights start to prepare. Well, they started earlier in the week, but are preparing for the Temple Owls. And let's talk a little bit about Temple coach under their new head coach, Matt Rule. They have gotten out to a 1-7 start on the year. They put up some points recently. They had a pretty big offensive game against SMU, threw up 49 points in that affair. Tell us a little bit about the Temple Owls, first of all, on offense, Coach.
Well, I think what you see, as I alluded to in the last segment, you see a team that's really improving. And, you know, the 49 points in the previous week, the week before that they scored 33. You know, so they're a team that's been coming on, and they've settled in at quarterback now with P.J. Walker, I think a name that's familiar to a lot of people in our state, who was an excellent high school football player at Elizabeth High School. Under John Quinn, who's, again, I'll keep mentioning those guys. You know, John's one of the better high school coaches, more successful coaches in the state.
He was at New Brunswick, wasn't he?
He was. And I met John years ago when he was at Roxbury.
Wow.
A long time ago. That's how long I've been coach. Goodness gracious. But I think what you see in Matt's team is a team that maybe didn't start off the way he wanted to, but really has improved through the season, and they're getting better, and they've got some young players. They've got a freshman quarterback who's really getting better by the week and is a great weapon in their system, and they've got a freshman running back who we're also familiar with from the recruiting circles who's done a nice job being in there, and they play two backs. And I think they're doing a better job everywhere. They're playing better up front. They're making plays. They challenge you down the field. I can't say that enough. They are absolutely going to try to pump the ball down the field because that's just how they play.
I was about to ask you, they have two big play receivers that will go down the field and go up and catch the ball. How hard is that going to be to cover now with, you know, such a young defensive backfield? Do you want to, you know, stay with two people on them, double cover certain guys? Is that how you look at it at certain times in the game?
I think we're going to have a mix of coverage like we do every week. I think that's going to be critical. I don't think we want to abandon what we do. We're certainly not happy with the result last week, but we know when our defense is played effectively that it plays at a high level. So we'll have a mixture of cover two, and we'll have a mixture of some combination coverages, and we'll have a mixture of some man coverages, just like we do every week, and try to keep them off balance. Because I think if you do the same thing, no matter what it is, over and over again, at some point the offense is going to figure it out.
When you have the dual threat quarterback that you have to contend with in the spread offense that they run, how does that change things versus when you have the quarterback who may not be quite as mobile that you faced also in the spread before?
It's a little bit of a different challenge. It certainly makes things like keeping your rush lanes even more critical. And I thought we did a nice job of that last week. And you get 4 sacks. I thought we were able to keep the quarterback in the pocket when he was throwing the ball. And it was one of the things I thought we did well on defense last week. And it's going to be even more critical because I think PJ is going to look to run it a little bit more than John was last week.
And when you come into, as you said, PJ is looking to run it a little bit more, do you try to force them into singly doing one thing instead of passing the deep ball game? Maybe take that away from them and make them run the ball, or vice versa, make them run the ball and take the shots down the field.
I think there's no doubt that they're gonna try to run the ball the way they try to run the ball. I think they're a little bit more spread out than we are. They do have some traditional sets that they utilize, but the trend appears to be over the last couple of games that they've been moving more and more towards that spread out offense that might be more suited to what PJ would do. So we're going to see them attempt to run the ball that way and just as every week we're going to start our defense with the premise that we're going to stop the run. And if we can do that, I think that'll give our defensive line a chance to tee it up a little bit and try to go after them.
You know, Coach, you look across the country and you see so many teams running the spread now and so many teams having difficulty stopping it. It makes sense that they would run it, but how is this going to progress philosophically for defenses in the next couple of years in trying to stop the spread? Not necessarily for Rutgers, but as a whole. How do you kind of see this playing out? Because we always see when you start to run one kind of offense, eventually defenses are going to adjust.
I think you're right, and I think as people study these systems more and more every offseason, I think you'll see on a national level the defenses will catch up. But we don't feel like our defense needs to catch up. We feel like we need to execute our defense, and there's no excuses when you don't play the way you want to play. But I think you also have to understand when you're looking at the guys that are playing defense for us in the back end, with experience, the level of play will rise.
Mm-hmm. Do you try to keep the game plan a little bit more simple, playing these spread offenses, not having so many different checks, or do you try to make it more complex, knowing that they're going to line up in certain wide receivers? You have 2 wide receivers over here, a fullback in the backfield along with a tight end, or when they get spread it out even more with 4 out, 4 wide, or 5 wide. Do you try to make it more complex, or just keep it simple for your guys as you see them coming out, especially with the young guys, or making more adjustments?
I think the spread offenses, they see their advantage being the tempo of the offense and then the run-pass options that they have, just like a triple option team would have. So because they're more basic in terms of formation and personnel, your defense may appear to be more basic than it would be normally. But I think you're going to have proportionally the same amount of fronts and pressures and coverages to fit those formations. There's just less formations that you'll be defending every week.
I want to go back to the secondary for a second because I forgot to mention this earlier. It's amazing. Rutgers, over the last 8-9 years or so, in a lot of ways, they used to call Penn State linebacker U. It's really become defensive back U in some ways with all the guys that are now making plays on Sundays. If fans didn't see the play that Devin McCourty made for the Patriots the other day with the tip ball, of course, Logan Ryan had the pick 6 a couple of weeks ago. And you have all these younger guys playing back there. I mean, certainly there has been, in particular, for whatever reason, an eye for guys in the secondary and a continued expectation that they're going to develop because we've seen it before.
You're right. I think one correction I would make to what you said, I believe Steve and Kasim refer to Rutgers as linebacker U. Not that other school that plays football to the west of us. But I think you're right. And to have 8 first-year players playing a significant role, 11 second-year players playing a significant role, that's 19 first- and second-year players playing a significant role. Now, the responsibility on them and on us as a coaching staff is to make sure we're improving every week because we got a whole table full of guys here that got a lot of football left to play in their last year for Rutgers, and we're going to make sure that they get every ounce out of it that they can.
How does that help recruiting-wise, knowing that if you come to Rutgers, you have a great chance to go to the NFL and make a huge impact in the NFL because of what you do here at Rutgers through the schemes and the formations and also learning from the veterans?
I think it's part of the reality of what young people are looking for. And the players that come to Rutgers, they know they're going to get a great education. They know they're going to get to play football at the highest level of college football. But on some level, they want to know that, hey, if I do what I'm coached to do, I have an advantage as I move to the next level and get an opportunity to play in the NFL. And I think we've proven over time, I think 31 current players, I think, in the NFL, that coming through our system will only benefit you and be an advantage as you go to the next level in the NFL.
Well, what is it about the coaching style? Because you talk to coaches in the league, and that's what they say, the guys who have taken advantage of Rutgers to have their players in, not just the draft picks, but especially the free agents, the guys that have made teams. I wanted this guy because I knew he was coached right and prepared for the league properly.
I think what we have at Rutgers is a culture of people who love football. And when you love football, you train the right way in the offseason. When you love football, you study the right way in the offseason. You study the right way during a game week. You know how to be in a meeting, take notes, prepare the right way. And our players are not professional athletes, But I would like to think that for our players, the transition to being a professional athlete is as good as it can be anywhere in the country because of how we train them in every facet of what that means to be a Division I college football player.
And as we're talking about players, let's talk about the coaches. How do you train them into learning the Rutgers way when they first come in? I know you interview them and you see what you want and what they can bring to the table, but how do you get them to learn the Rutgers way and the way things work around here?
It's I think it's the most important job you do as the head coach is who are the people that you're going to bring into the program that are going to touch the lives of your players on a day in and day out basis. There's nothing more important than that as the head coach. And I think you got to find people that philosophically believe in what you believe in. And for us, I said many times, we're gonna have an offensive coordinator who believes in running the football. We're going to have a defensive coordinator who believes in stopping the run. We're going to have coordinators who believe in the schematics of what we do, even though on defense we have a system, and on offense we have a system. The difference on offense is an offensive system can look very different week in and week out, year in and year out, based on who your playmakers are. And I think over time people will see that here at Rutgers.
We'll take another timeout. Phone calls, also your questions on Twitter. Tweet us at @RFootball. And if you're in person here at Brother Jimmy's, by all means, come on up front and get your question in for the coaches. Rutgers prepares to take on Temple this Saturday. And again, we're going to give away this prize pack, including a Brother Jimmy's gift card, hat, T-shirt, a cookbook, and 2 tickets, 2 pregame sideline passes for Rutgers and Temple this week. Stay with us. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Hey everybody, this is Coach, and I want all you tried and true college football fans to enter the AT&T Be the Fan sweepstakes. Tackle my weekly challenge and you might be the fan who wins a VIP trip to ESPN College Game Day. Find out how you can win at attbethefan.com. AT&T, rethink possible.
No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. citizens and resident aliens of the 50 U.S. states or D.C. of the age of majority. Ends 11:59 p.m. Central Time, November 29, 2013. Official rules at attbethefan.com. Void where prohibited.
The chalkboard. Sweeps, screens. Every play is drawn up and studied. When you can visualize a play, you can execute a play. The same is true in business. The more visibility you have in your supply chain, the better your business performs. That's why UPS lets you track what comes in and what goes out. Logistics is our game. See how we can help yours at thenewlogistics.com. UPS, official logistics partner of the NCAA.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
No matter what you earned your undergraduate degree in, an MBA from Rutgers Business School will help you build your brand and get you the skills you need to succeed in a tough job market. Rutgers MBA graduates get jobs. U.S. News & World Report recently ranked Rutgers among the top 20 business schools in job placement. With convenient locations in Newark, New Brunswick, Jersey City, and Morristown, Rutgers Business School offers flexible and convenient options to help you pursue your MBA full or part-time. Become part of Rutgers' passionate network of more than 30,000 business school alumni. Think MBA, think Rutgers MBA.
When I say Xerox, I know what you're thinking. Transit fares, as in the 37 billion transit fares we help collect each year. No. Oh, right. You're thinking of the 1.6 million daily customer care interactions Xerox handles, or the 900 million health insurance claims we process. So it's no surprise to you that companies depend on today's Xerox for services that simplify how work gets done, which is pretty much what we've always stood for. With Xerox, you're ready for real business.
Got some time left to get your questions in for the coach. We're at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. Chris Carlin, Eric LeGrand, along with Rutgers head coach Kyle Flood. Now, I wanted to get to one thing on the Temple defense. They run a 4-3, and they have a young man in Tyler Matakevich who's been extremely productive this year, putting up Kasim Green-type numbers with 103 tackles on the season. When I look at that, is that kind of similar to what you were talking about earlier, to where their defense kind of flows toward him?
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I don't think you can have those numbers without playing with a super high motor, which Tyler does. And I remember watching Tyler last year as a true freshman and saying, wow, this is really a fine football player, kid from Connecticut, and really did a nice job for them last year as a true freshman, and has certainly gotten better again this year and is the anchor of their defense.
Does that make you want to run the ball right at him or try to run away from him and make him have to chase down the place?
I think we'll do both. We're not gonna check a play to run it at him, but I think there's no doubt that everybody on the offense is aware of where he is, and there are certain players that warrant that type of attention, and I think Tyler's one of them.
Steve on Twitter checking in. Coach, where are the biggest challenges that the Temple defense presents for you offensively? It looks like the numbers have been pretty big against them this year so far.
I think they're big and strong on the inside in their first and second down defense. I think they've got one of the premier players in Tyler Matakevich on their defense, so he's going to be somebody that we have to be aware of and make sure we're putting a hat on him every play. And then on third down, they take two linebackers and make them their defensive ends to gain some speed in their pass rush. And I think that's something that our offensive tackles, they're certainly aware of it because we did third down today, but we're going to have to handle those guys. They're not as big, but they certainly run really well.
Knowing that being the offensive line coach, do you like going against the speed guys, or is it harder going up versus those big bully guys, that try to just bull rush you the whole time? Or do you like going up versus the more finesse guys that you can just kick back on them and get a hold of them and they're not going anywhere?
I don't know. I think when you're pass protecting, or let me flip it around. The great pass rushers all threaten you with speed.
Yeah.
And because if you can't threaten an offensive lineman with speed, it becomes harder and harder to really get to the quarterback. And I think that's why they've made the personnel decisions that they have, because now they've got two defensive ends that are going to challenge us with speed, and you're going to have to handle that speed and then at some point transition and handle the up and unders.
A little bit different of a question here on Twitter from Mark, but certainly important enough. Coach, what will the Halloween costumes in the Flood household be?
I think it's an excellent question. I think, do they mean mine or just my?
Well, I think it was collectively. So
all right,
yes,
okay.
you're included there.
Bill Belichick had an outfit on yesterday.
That's right. I'm still. Mine is going to remain a surprise. I'm not going to tell the players what my costume will be. But I do know my daughter is going to dress up as a witch of some sort. She has a witch-like costume. And my son has a very unique costume. My oldest son, he is going to be a sock monster, which is
a sock monster.
It's a unique costume. It involves a lot of socks, and I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like yet, but we'll get that one out on Twitter tomorrow. Make sure you stay tuned. And then the little man, little Joseph, just under 2 years old, he is going to be a monkey in honor of his favorite book, The 5 Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed book. Not sure who the author is, but my wife probably knows.
Outstanding. But you're going to keep us in suspense.
I am going to keep you in suspense as to what my costume will be.
Will it be on Twitter?
Well, we're not sure about that yet. It was just,
Coach.
we will see. We will see.
I guess I would follow that question up with what is the candy giveaway at the Flood household?
You know what? I get home a little bit late sometimes, but I do check the candy bucket, and it appears we've got a nice assortment of Snickers bars and Kit Kats and other assorted items that are in there. Anything I'm missing?
Sweet Tarts?
Sweet Tarts? Eric wants to say Sweet Tarts. Oh,
Big Hershey bars.
Big Hershey bars.
Oh, see?
All right.
See, now this is
Stop
what we're
by the
talking
Flood
about.
House.
This is what we're talking about. They've started to, it's gotten so involved technologically that people have actually come up with different apps and programs on phones to tell you where the houses are that give you the big candy bars.
I did actually see that commercial about that.
I did not get out of the Hale Center enough to even know that.
Hey, Chris, I got a question for you. Did you ever see the Take One candy?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever take the whole bowl?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I definitely used to do that.
Absolutely. You can't get, look, I'll admit it now, but it's unfortunate, but it happened. There's no doubt. As we get back to the game this week, Coach, where have you seen the team really, the focus been off the field, in the classroom, in getting past what happened last week and moving into this week quickly?
As I said before, I've got them on the table to my right here, and the seniors are the foundation of everything you do in your football program, and this senior class is a very resilient senior class, and I think that has showed itself this week. And to me, it has showed itself by us going back to work. Mm-hmm. The energy in the meeting rooms, the energy in the weight room during our lifts, the energy on the practice field, the focus on the game plan. Everybody in the program knows we need to do better. Our expectations are to play better football than we played last week. At the same time, we're not going to dwell on last week. We're moving forward. We got a great challenge ahead of us. We got a very much improving Temple football team coming to town this week, and they are going to challenge us in every way. And we're looking forward to getting back out there, because the only way as a football program you can feel better is to be 1-0. And that's what our goal is going to be this week.
And being faced with some adversity, have you seen any more young leaders emerge among the crew that you're going to see coming up, I guess, for future captains references?
What I've seen from the young players is really an eagerness to be better, an eagerness to not allow inexperience to be a reason or an excuse, however you want to look at it. We're not going to make excuses, but we certainly understand the expectations of putting an inexperienced player in the game. But I think our leadership is coming from the older players. We've got a core group of captains. We've got a great group of seniors, and they have to provide the leadership for the football team, and I think they have.
We'll take one more time out and wrap things up in just a few moments. Couple of more questions for the coach. Stay with us from Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Excuse me, is that your Diet Pepsi?
Sophia Vergara. Hi, yeah, this is my Diet Pepsi. I love Diet Pepsi.
Do you love every sip?
Nothing is better than drinking a refreshing Diet Pepsi and just reveling in its crisp, delicious taste.
Well, you know what they say. If you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it was meant to be.
So I should set this Diet Pepsi free and wait for it to come back. Then it'll be more delicious than ever. Would you hold my Diet Pepsi for me?
I'd love to.
Thank you. What happens now?
Go, get out of here. It can't come back to you if you're standing next to it.
Thanks, Sophia. I'll wait for you, Diet Pepsi.
The only thing better than an ice-cold Diet Pepsi is a free ice-cold Diet Pepsi.
Love every sip at dietpepsi.com.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Looking for the best trained in the business? Look no further. Our members at the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 456, go through a 5-year nationally recognized apprenticeship program, along with OSHA safety certifications, producing the best trained and most up-to-date electricians in the area. Fiber optics, high voltage, lighting retrofits, solar energy. We do it all. We're also proud to be one of the first building trades locals to be recognized with a drug-free workplace program. We at IBEW 456 are like Coach Flood and the Scarlet Knights, trained and ready to get the job done.
Rutgers University Center for Management Development is an international leader in delivering innovative educational solutions to strengthen the business skills of our clients. We have a focus on today's professional with contemporary programs to meet the demands of an ever-changing business environment. Find your program today by visiting our website, cmd.rutgers.edu, and upon registering, use the special 10% discount code RURadio or call us directly at 732-640-1853.
Back at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. We're wrapping up the Kyle Flood Show. First things first, we got to give away our prize pack tonight. It includes a Brother Jimmy's hat, the T-shirt, the cookbook, $25 gift card, and 2 tickets, 2 pregame sideline passes for Rutgers and Temple this week. All right, Coach, pick out a winner. Let's see who we've got. Get your tickets out. We will read the number right now and tell you who's getting all that stuff.
Here we go. Red ticket.
Again, they're all red.
663248.
663248. I heard a yeah. Can I get a hand up? 663248. Anybody? 663248. What do we think? Pick another one? You're not here. You snooze, you lose.
Ike apparently thinks it's his show.
I hear Holmes over there.
All right. Oh, wait. In the back.
663248.
We've got a winner. Outstanding. Very nice. All right.
Check that.
Good to see you. All right. Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
If it's a little bit bigger, I'll get in. We're double XLs over here, man.
Hey, speak for yourself now. Hey.
Well, we got to wrap up the show. We're just about out of time. Coach, you need them there early on Saturday.
We do. We do need them there early, and I appreciate the excitement and the enthusiasm of the fans last week. I know the students are going to be back in force, and we need everybody there. 12 noon kickoff. They will be the 12th man.
Rutgers and Temple this Saturday at noon at High Point Solution Stadium. Be there. Game is on SNY in New York and WPVI down in Philadelphia, Masson, and Baltimore and Washington. Thanks so much for joining us this week. Our next Kyle Flood Show in 2 weeks. Have a great week, everybody. This has been the Kyle Flood Show.
You've been listening to The Kyle Flood Show, live from Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. The executive producers of the Rutgers IMG Sports Network are George Pine and Ben Sutton. Associate producers Joe Potter, Chris Ferris, and John Willie. Network manager Brad Law. I'm staff announcer Carl Shannon. Special thanks to Rutgers Athletic Director Julie Herman and the staff and management of flagship station WCTC.